Hello students, it's 3:05 p.m. and it's time to start our class. So hi everyone and welcome to another live session of Basics in Biology. I am your TA Ashutosh Behra and we will be solving practice problem lecture week 11. So all the lectures that are covered in week 11, namely the endocrine system, will be covered in this TA session. This is a 2 hour live TA session problem solving class starting from 3 to 5, and we will solve around 10 to 15 exemplar questions similar to what you face in your assignment and quizzes and your exams. Multiple choice questions, and all these questions are related to the lectures that we are dealing with, which is the endocrine system of the week 11 lectures. The course is taught by Professor Vishal Trivedi, and along with me, there are other TAs who are helping students in this course. Okay, without any further delay, let's start the session. Meanwhile, I have general set of instructions for all those who are joining the live class as well as who will be watching the recorded video. That please keep your mic and video chat turned off during the session for the smooth conduction of this live session. Rather, interact with me via the chat box. The chat box and comment box is open for all. I'll be posting questions. You can post your answers in the chat box. If you have any query or question for me as well, I'll be following the chat box closely. So please communicate to me through the chat box and turn off your video and mic for this session. Okay, meanwhile, anyone who is trying to join this link or clicking this link will be allowed to join this live session, and I encourage maximum participation for all the students that are watching this video as well as who have joined the live class. Okay, with this I will present my screen. Let me share my screen with you guys. And let me quickly open the presentation. Yeah. So is the screen visible, guys, and can you hear my voice loud and clear? The audio is the audio is good on your side. Let me know in the chat box with a yes or no or a like. Great. So hi everyone and welcome to week 11 of live TA session for Basics of Biology, NOC 25 BT02. As I said earlier, this course is instructed by Professor Vishal Trivedi and I am the teaching assistant. My name is Ashutosh Behra. I'm a PMRF PhD scholar at IIT Kanpur. This course is brought to you by NPTEL and we have done and completed week starting from week 1 to week 10 of all the exemplar assignment questions, the practice session and the live sessions. This is week 11 and we have one more following week, after which officially the course will end here and you guys will be ready for your examinations. So let us see what questions we will be looking at in week 11. I have 15 such questions for you guys, which I'll be posting and presenting on my screen, and then ask you guys to guess what is the correct answer of the question. I will reveal what is the correct answer in a question in a minute or so when I collect some answers, and then we will understand briefly about the concept that is posed in the question, in a way of clearing our doubts of the concept as well as knowing the correct answer to the question, which will help us in understanding our own quizzes, assignments, and the final examination. Okay, with that much of an introduction, let us start this session with the first question on board. Question number 1. Epinephrine and norepinephrine are produced in dashed. Epinephrine and norepinephrine are produced in dashed. Option A, pituitary glands. Option B, thyroid glands. Option C, suprarenal glands. Option D, mammary glands. Epinephrine and norepinephrine. Where do you think Which glands produce these two hormones? These are hormones, epinephrine and norepinephrine. Okay, understood the question? Let us take a minute and find out what is the correct answer to this question. I will encourage all of the participants in the live session to post your answers in options or in text in the chat box, and I will follow the chat box after a minute. Let us wait for some time, think about the question, and then I will reveal what is the correct answer to this question. Okay, that's enough time for this question. Epinephrine and norepinephrine are produced in. The correct answer to this question is option C, suprarenal glands. This is the correct answer to this question. Suprarenal glands or adrenal glands are the ones which produce these hormones, epinephrine and norepinephrine. So this is a suprarenal gland or an adrenal gland. The suprarenal glands, also known as adrenal glands, are small triangular shaped glands located on top of each kidney. So this is where the adrenal gland is there. On top of each kidney, they play a crucial role in endocrine system by producing hormones that help regulate various bodily functions including metabolism, immune response, blood pressure and stress response. Yes, adrenal glands is most famously known for its stress response hormones. Structure of suprarenal glands. Each adrenal gland has two parts, the cortex and the medulla. The outer cortex produces steroid hormones like cortisol, helps control metabolism and stress response. Aldosterone regulates blood pressure and electrolyte balance, and sex hormones for a minor quantity. And the adrenal medulla, on the other hand, produces epinephrine and norepinephrine, also known as adrenaline and noradrenaline, involved in the fight or flight response. It's an bodily response, stress to stress. So if you cut open the cortex of the adrenaline gland, adrenal gland, we will see this cellular arrangement. The outermost layer is the capsule or the covering, then the zona glomerulosa, zona fasciculata, zona reticularis, and the inner medulla. The capsule is the covering of the renal adrenal gland, adrenal cortex, and adrenal medulla inside on the kidneys. So, what are these two hormones, epinephrine and norepinephrine? Epinephrine and norepinephrine, also known as adrenaline or noradrenaline, are catecholamines. Now, what are catecholamines? These are a type of hormone neurotransmitter. So, they behave as neurotransmitters produced mainly by adrenal medulla and also by some neurons in the CNS and sympathetic nervous system. Epinephrine is the source is from adrenal medulla. And what is the main role of epinephrine or adrenaline? It increases heart rate, it dilates the bronchioles, airways in the lungs, increases blood glucose levels by stimulating glycogen breakdown. So it prepares the body uh, for a emergency role, increase in heart rate, increased awareness, dilating of the bronchioles to draw in more air, increase in the blood glucose level to dissipate energy, and redirect blood flow to the muscles, prepares the body for fight or flight. Then what does noradrenaline do? Norepinephrine or noradrenaline, the source is the same, adrenal medulla and sympathetic nerve endings. It increases blood pressure by constricting the blood vessels, slightly increases heart rate, helps maintain vigilance and attention. Also part of flight or fight hormone, but more focused on vasoconstriction. So noradrenaline has synergistic to opposite effects with the epinephrine. It helps maintain vigilance and attention. The body is heightened, the body senses are heightened. There is vasoconstriction, increase in blood pressure by decreasing the lumen inside the blood vessels. So these are the functions of epinephrine and norepinephrine that are secreted by the adrenal gland. I hope this is clear to the students. Just let me know. Great. Thank you. Looking at the second question of this session, question number 2, the T3 hormone released by thyroid glands is dashed. What is the T3 hormone that is secreted by the thyroid glands? Option A, thyroxine. Option B, iodothyroxine. Option C, iodothyronine. Option D, triiodothyronine. Which of these is the T3 hormone which is released by the thyroid gland? Is it option A, thyroxine? Is it option B, iodothyroxine? Option C, iodothyronine? Or option D, triiodothyronine? Let me know what you think is the correct answer in the chat box, and let me wait for a minute for all of us to answer, and I'll collect some correct answers. Then I will reveal what is the right answer to this question. Okay, I think it's enough time for this question and time for me to reveal the correct answer to this question. The T3 hormone released by the thyroid glands is, the correct answer to this question is option D, triiodothyronine. T3 stands for triiodothyronine. Now, what is this T3 hormone? Triiodothyronine or T3 is a thyroid hormone, the active form that plays a crucial role in regulating metabolism, heart function, muscle control, brain development, and bone health. So, all these important functions are controlled, are regulated by triiodothyronine. Now, what is this T3 hormone? Is one of the two major hormones released by the thyroid gland, the other being thyroxine, which is T4. And how is it produced? While the thyroid gland produces some T3, most T3 in the bloodstream is produced by the body's conversion of T4 into T3, primarily in the liver and kidneys. So, this is how T3 hormone is produced. Now, what is the function of this T3? It helps regulate metabolic rate. T3 helps regulate the rate at which your body uses energy. Heart and digestive function, it influences heart rate and digestive processes. Muscle control, T3 plays a role in maintaining muscle function. It's essential for proper brain development, especially in children. And T3 helps maintain bone health as well. So, this is the thyroid gland. 85 to 90% of T4 is produced from the thyroid gland, while only produces 10 to 15% of T3 hormone. T4 is better for transport throughout the body. T3 is more biologically active form of T4. So this T4 thyroxine is converted into triiodothyronine in liver and kidneys in the body, and most of the T3 sources from the body, these reserves. Now this is a summary list of all the main functions of T3. Metabolism, it increases the basal metabolic rate. It increases heart rate and cardiac output. Essential for brain development, especially in infants, and supports muscle tone and bone growth. For gene expression, regulates many genes involved in energy usage and metabolism, and promotes heat production from the body. So these are all the various roles triiodothyronine plays, which is the active form, most biologically active form, while T4 thyroxine is very good for transport and spreading across the body. These are the two hormones that are primarily secreted from the thyroid gland. I hope it's clear to the students. If yes, then let me know in the chat box and we will move on to the next question. Very good. Moving on to the third question. The thyroid stimulating hormone is produced in dashed. The thyroid stimulating hormone is produced in dashed. Option A, thyroid gland. Option B, suprarenal gland. Option C, pancreatic gland. Option D, pituitary gland. This can be a tricky question for you guys, but I hope you will sail through it. The thyroid stimulating hormone is produced in thyroid gland, suprarenal gland, pancreatic gland, or pituitary gland. Let me know of your answers in the chat box, and those who are watching the video, please take a minute to think about it and post your answers in the comment box. I will reveal the correct answer in a minute or so. Okay, I think it's enough time for this question. The thyroid stimulating hormone is produced in dashed. Correct answer to this question is option D, pituitary gland, not the thyroid gland. It's the pituitary gland which produces thyroid stimulating hormone, or most commonly known as TSH. Now, what is this TSH, sorry. Thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH, is being produced in the pituitary gland. It stimulates the thyroid gland to produce metabolism regulating hormones T3 and T4. So, thyroid stimulating hormone from the pituitary is a signal for the thyroid gland to actually start producing T3 and T4. Thyroid stimulating hormone controls the production of thyroid hormones. The pituitary produces TSH, also known as thyrotropin. TSH levels can vary based on age, sex, and stage of life, and other factors affecting TSH levels include pregnancy, stress, diet, and medications. So here is the summary of the functions of TSH. What it does, its major function is to stimulate the thyroid gland to produce and release hormones. And what does it regulate? It regulates metabolic rate, heart and digestive functions, muscle control, brain development, and bone activity. How does the level of TSH is measured? A blood test called a TSH test is enough for measuring the levels of TSH. And what is the normal range of this hormone? Usually between 0.4 to 4 milliunits per liter of this hormone. So what is this thyroid physiology, or and the loop that starts with the TSH and then ends up in the hypothalamus? The hypothalamus releases the hormone TRH, which stimulates the pituitary gland. So pituitary gland is not the one which is beginning the cycle. This loop begins at the hypothalamus in thyrotropin releasing hormone, or TRH, which signals the anterior pituitary to secrete TSH, which is the thyroid stimulating hormone. The pituitary gland releases the hormone TSH, which stimulates the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland makes the thyroid hormones T3 and T4. These are the actual thyroid hormones, then which leads to increased metabolism, growth, development, and catecholamine effect. And after its job is done, as T3 and T4 are made, they signal the hypothalamus and pituitary to stop stimulating via the TRH and the TSH production. When T3 and T4 are adequate, no more needs to be made. So this is the loop that thyroid gland follows. Starting from the hypothalamus is the thyrotropin releasing hormone, which signals the pituitary gland to produce thyroxine stimulating hormone, or TSH. Then the TSH signals thyroid gland to produce T3 and T4, and T3 and T4, high levels of T3 and T4 in the blood then signals back to the hypothalamus and the pituitary to stop producing more TSH. I hope it's clear to the students the function of TSH, the loop in which TSH is involved, and the thyroid hormones. If yes, then let me know in the chat box, in the comment box. Very good. Moving on to the next question. Question number 4. Vasopressin is also known as dashed, which is released by dashed. This is a fill in the blanks question. 2 blanks to fill. Vasopressin is also known as dashed, which is released by dashed. Option A, thyroxine. Option thyroxine, thyroid gland. Option B, antidiuretic hormone, pituitary gland. Option C, cortisol, adrenal gland. Option D, aldosterone, adrenal gland. These are the 4 options. thyroxine, thyroid gland, antidiuretic hormone, pituitary gland, cortisol, adrenal gland, aldosterone, adrenal gland. Come on, let us have a better memory and a deeper understanding about vasopressin. Let me know what you think is the correct answer to this question. Post your answers in the chat box. I will be following it closely. And after a minute or so, after collecting some answers, I will reveal the correct answer to this question. Okay, it's enough time for me to reveal this answer. Let us see what is the correct answer to this question. Vasopressin is also known as dashed, which is released by dashed. The correct answer to this question is option B. Vasopressin is also known as antidiuretic hormone or ADH, which is released by the pituitary gland. This is the correct answer to this question. Now let us understand the pituitary ADH and what are its function. The antidiuretic hormone or ADH prevents making too much urine or results in water retention. So antidiuresis means prevent making too much urine or retaining water. decreasing excretion, against excessive urine production, antidiuresis. And this hormone is vasopressin, which which is the antidiuretic hormone. It also causes vasoconstriction, and together, vasoconstriction, it means constriction of the lumen in blood vessels, as well as water retention and preventing too much urine, increases the blood pressure of the body. See, it is intuitively very common that when you retain much water in the body, there is higher blood pressure. And when the lumen of the arteries and veins, lumen of the arteries are thickened or constricted, then the blood pressure will be increased. So, secretion of vasopressin by the pituitary helps in increasing blood pressure in the body. Vasopressin, also known as the antidiuretic hormone, is synthesized in the hypothalamus. So it is synthesized in the hypothalamus but stored and released from the posterior pituitary, playing a crucial role in regulating water balance and blood pressure. So it is the hypothalamus which, in response to angiotensin, sympathetic stimulation, hyperosmolarity, produces the antidiuretic hormone, and then which is stored in the posterior pituitary and released as vasopressin. Vasopressin is produced by nerve cells in the hypothalamus, specifically in the supraortic and paraventricular nuclei. These nerve cells transport the vasopressin packaged in neurosecretory granules down the hypothalamic hypophyseal tract to the posterior pituitary gland. So this is the hypophysis that joins the hypothalamus, or the stalk which joins the posterior pituitary gland to the hypothalamus, where it is stored and released into the bloodstream. When it is released in the bloodstream, it is released from the posterior pituitary. And what is its function? Water balance. Vasopressin primarily regulates water balance by increasing water reabsorption in the kidneys. So the kidneys will perform fluid reabsorption, which is leading to increased blood volume because now there is less water loss, leading to concentrated urine and reduced urine volume. On the other hand, it also leads to constriction inside blood vessels to increase blood pressure. Vasopressin acts as a potent vasoconstrictor, meaning it constricts blood vessels, which can raise the blood pressure. Increased systemic vascular resistance. And these are the receptors it binds to. Vasopressin binds to V1A, V1B, the V1 group of receptors for blood vessels constriction, and V2 group of receptors for kidneys fluid reabsorption. Each receptor type being responsible for a specific function of vasopressin. For example, V1A receptor activation triggers vasoconstriction, as I have mentioned in this diagram. V1B receptor is responsible for modulation of mood and behavior, and V2 receptors induce water reabsorption in the kidney. So these are the variety of roles that vasopressin plays in our body, and it is synthesized in the hypothalamus, stored and released from the posterior pituitary, and majorly functions in retaining water balance and blood pressure of the body. So this is the hormone vasopressin, also known as antidiuretic hormone, ADH, secreted by the pituitary gland. I hope it is clear to the students. Just let me know in the chat box, what do you think? Absolutely, very good. Great. Moving on to the next question of this session. Question number 5. Glucagon is a hormone that is produced in dash, responsible for regulating blood glucose levels. Now we are talking about another hormone. Glucagon is a hormone that is produced in dash, responsible for regulating blood glucose levels. Option A, liver. Option B, pancreas. Option C, stomach. Option D, kidneys. Which of these organs produces glucagon or secretes glucagon hormone, which is responsible for maintaining the blood glucose levels? Is it liver? Is it the pancreas? Is it the stomach or the kidneys? Understood the question? Let us take a minute or so to ponder over this question and come up with the right answer. Let me know in the chat box and the comment box, what do you think is the correct answer to this question. and I will reveal the correct answer in a minute or so. Okay, I think it's enough time for this question. Glucagon is a hormone that is produced in DAST responsible for regulating blood glucose levels. And the correct answer to this question is option B, pancreas. Glucagon is produced in the pancreas, is a hormone that is responsible for regulating the blood glucose levels in our body. Now, two such important hormones that are secreted from the pancreas are insulin and glucagon. They, they play an important role in maintaining the metabolism and blood glucose levels in our body. So, what happens in our body if there is high blood glucose or right after a meal? When there is high blood glucose, insulin is released by beta cells of the pancreas, which acts upon the fat cells and ask the fat cells to take in glucose from the blood to restore normal blood glucose level. The fat cells store these high blood glucose as fat, thereby reducing the high blood glucose level into a normal blood glucose level. Now, what happens when there is a low blood glucose or during a fasting state? Glucagon is released by alpha cells of pancreas, which acts on the liver and asks liver to release glucose into the blood. From the glycogen that is present in the liver is broken down and released into the blood as glucose to restore normal blood glucose level. So insulin released by beta cells of pancreas will store the high blood glucose inside the fat cells and thereby restore the normal blood glucose level in the body, while glucagon will signal the liver to break down glycogen and release glucose into the bloodstream, thereby restoring normal blood glucose level in the bloodstream. Glucagon is a hormone crucial for regulating blood sugar. It is produced by the alpha cells within the pancreatic islets of Langerhans, and it works to increase blood glucose levels from when they drop too low. So when the blood glucose level drops too low, this hormone glucagon increases the blood glucose level via signaling the liver. Function: its primary role is to counteract hypoglycemia or low blood sugar by raising blood glucose levels. So blood glucose alpha cell, I'm sorry, blood glucose signals the alpha cell to produce glucagon, which then signals to the liver for glycogenolysis, gluconeogenesis, amino acid metabolism and ketogenesis for glucose output. And alpha cells releases glucagon, which inhibits the appetite, and through the autonomic nervous system from the brain it stimulates alpha cell to produce glucagon, more and more glucagon. Glucagon promotes pumping of the heart, promotes glomerular filtration, but suppresses gastric motility and promotes lipolysis or thermogenesis. And alpha cell, when they release high amount of glucagon, is also a stimulatory factor for producing insulin from the beta cells. Mechanism: glucagon achieves this by stimulating gluconeogenesis. How does it increase the blood sugar? By stimulating glyconeogenesis, it prompts the liver to break down stored glycogen into glucose, which is then released into the bloodstream. Stored glycogen into glucose, which is then released from the bloodstream. Promoting gluconeogenesis, glucagon also encourages the liver to produce new glucose from non-carbohydrate sources like amino acids, reducing glucose uptake by the liver. It also inhibits the liver from taking up glucose from the blood, ensuring that more glucose remains available in the bloodstream. I hope it is clear to the students. How glucagon functions: alpha cells in the pancreas secrete glucagon, and glucagon stimulates glycogenolysis, gluconeogenesis, and reduces glucose uptake by the liver. If yes, then let's move on to the next question of this session. Question number 6. The excretory organs present in cockroaches are known as dashed. The excretory organs present in cockroaches are known as dashed. Option A, antennal glands. Option B, flame cells. Option C, Malpighian tubules. Option D, kidneys. The excretory organs in a cockroach. I hope you remember what is the excretory system or organs in the human, and then we just have to find out the cockroach counterpart. Won't take too much long. But let's wait for a minute to collect some correct answers. I will reveal what is the correct answer in a minute or so. So question number 6, the excretory organs present in the cockroaches are known as, the correct answer to this question is option C, Malpighian tubules. This is the correct answer to this question. Malpighian tubules are the excretory organs in the cockroach. The primary excretory organs in a cockroach are the Malpighian tubules. These tubules, which are long, thin, coiled tubules that extend from the junction of the midgut and hindgut, the mesenteron or midgut, and this is the hindgut, the colon, and are responsible for removing nitrogenous waste and other metabolic products. So, this is the digestive system of a cockroach or an insect. There is the pharynx or the mouth, then the salivary glands and reservoir, which helps in mastication and digestion, esophagus or the food pipe, crop, which is the stomach. There is a gizzard, which helps in breaking down of things for the insect. Hepatic CC, hepatic KC is the equivalent to liver in humans, and the midgut followed by excretory Malpighian tubules, the ileum and colon, followed by the rectum. Malpighian tubules. What are Malpighian tubules? These are delicate yellow colored branching threads. They are located in the abdominal cavity near the junction of midgut and hindgut. There are approximately 150 tubes in each insect. Malpighian tubules absorb waste products and water from the hemolymph. The tubules then release the waste products into the hindgut, where they are excreted along with feces. And the excretion process, Malpighian tubules play a crucial role in osmoregulation, maintaining the proper balance of water and salts in the body, and nitrogenous waste excretion. The major nitrogenous waste product in cockroach is uric acid because they are uricotelic. The tubules also help in reabsorption of useful substances such as water, electrolytes back into the hemolymph. Remember, if the insects do not have blood, rather they have a fluid filled system called hemolymph system. So that is the same reservoir as a blood. Malpighian tubules help reabsorption of useful substances from the hemolymph. How do these Malpighian tubules work? Malpighian tubules secrete waste and excess ions from hemolymph. Contents pass into the hindgut. Water and useful salts are reabsorbed. Waste is excreted as semi-solid uric acid through the anus. So, Malpighian tubules function in excretion, uric acid from the hemolymph to tubules, osmoregulation, adjust ions and water levels. Waste form is uric acid, dry form water saving. I hope this is clear to the students that Malpighian tubules form the excretion system in insects like cockroaches. Very good. Moving on to the next question. Nephridia is the excretory organ present in dashed. Nephridia is the excretory organ present in dashed. Option A, earthworms. Option B, prawns. Option C, planaria. Option D, honeybees. Now, what are nephridia and which organism has nephridia? Is it earthworm? Is it prawns, planaria, or honeybees? Let us take a minute and reach at the correct answer. Okay, I think it's enough time for this question. Nephridia is the excretory organ present in, and the correct answer to this question is option A, earthworms. Nephridia is present in earthworms, right? So let us look at the nephridia in the earthworms. This is an overview of the excretory system of the earthworm. Here we have the pharyngeal nephridia and the middle tube, micronephridium and the meganephridium. Micronephridium present in each segment, micronephridia, as well as the meganephridium. And there are pharyngeal nephridium present near the pharynx or the mouth of the organism. Nephridia are tubular excretory structures found in annelids like earthworms that help in excretion and osmoregulation. They function similar to kidneys in higher animals but simpler. So, if you remember, the functional and structural unit of the kidney is named after these nephridia called nephrons. So, they are equivalent to kidneys in the earthworm. In annelids, there are different types of nephridia based on location. Septal nephridia attached to the intersegmental septa between the segments, and most common open into the intestine is their function. Integumentary nephridia scattered in the body wall excrete directly outside the body of the organism, and pharyngeal nephridia in anterior segments that help remove waste near the head. So these are different types of nephridia based on their location in the organism. And nephridia are tubular excretory substructures which are found in the annelids that helps in excretion and osmoregulation, which function very similar to the kidneys in our system. Is it clear to the students? Just let me know with a yes or no in the chat box, and then we will move forward. Very good. Now moving ahead with the 8th question. What is the correct order of homeostasis machinery? You have to tell me what is the correct order of homeostasis machinery. Option A, stimulus, sensor, integrator, effector, response, result. Is this the correct order? Or option B, stimulus, integrator, sensor, effector, response, result. Is this the correct order? Or option C, stimulus, effector, sensor, integrator, response, result. Or option D, stimulus, sensor, effector, integrator, response, result. What is the correct order of homeostasis machinery in our body? This will be an easy one for the students, but the options can be really confusing. Please go through the question carefully, look at the options carefully, and let me know what is the correct answer to this question in the comment box. Let's wait for a minute and I will reveal the correct answer to this question. Okay, I think it's enough time for this question and time for me to reveal the correct answer to this question. Correct order of homeostasis machinery is, and the correct answer to this question is option A: stimulus, sensor, integrator, effector, response, result. This is the correct order of homeostasis machinery. Congratulations to those who have answered this exact option. You guys are really correct. Well done. Now let us understand what is homeostasis. Homeostasis is the body maintenance of the steady state. For example, if the normal homeostasis temperature of body is 37 degrees Celsius, 70% water. Now the temperature can vary from greater than 37 degrees Celsius to less than 37 degree, but the internal system of the body will try to maintain 37 degrees Celsius inside the body at all the times. So here we have the homeostasis. If there is imbalance, which is the stimulus, the change is detected by the receptor, where the input is sent via the afferent pathway to the control center, the brain or the hypothalamus or the pituitary. The output is sent via the efferent pathway via the hormones or the nerve endings to the effector in response to the change, and the imbalance is corrected. So this is how homeostasis is maintained. So the correct order of homeostasis machinery is stimulus, sensor, integrator, effector, response, result. How? Stimulus, which is the change in the environment, like the temperature drops. Sensor detects the change, like thermoreceptors in the skin of our body. Integrator, usually the brain or hypothalamus that process the input. Effector, organs, muscles or glands that carry out the command, like shivering of the muscles. Response, the action taken, which is the heat production. As a result, homeostasis is restored. Example, body temperature rises. So very beautifully here we see that taking temperature as an internal parameter of the body which is maintained in homeostasis, we can understand what are the components of the homeostasis machinery. First, there is a stimulus, which is the change in environment, which tells us that it is cold outside. Then the sensor, which detects the change, which is the thermoreceptors present in the skin, which makes us feel cold. Then the integrator, usually the brain or hypothalamus, that processes the input. Muscles shiver and thus produce heat energy. Heat production is the response, and as a result, the body temperature rises. This pathway is the classic negative feedback loop used in homeostatic control systems. I hope it is clear to everyone in the class. This was an easy concept to understand. Homeostatic machinery and what is the correct order of it. If yes, then let me know in the chat box and we'll proceed with the next question. Yes, very good. Moving on to the next question, question number 9. Inhibin is secreted by dashed. Inhibin, another hormone. Inhibin is secreted by dashed. Option A, suprarenal gland. Option B, hypothalamus. Option C, testis. Option D, thyroid. Which of these glands secretes inhibin? This is a memory based question. This can be difficult for many students, but let us see who can answer correctly. I request all of the participants to post their answers in the chat box, in the comment box itself, and I'll be checking that in a minute or so when I'll reveal the correct answer to this question. Let's wait for some time, collect some correct answers, and then I'll reveal what is the actual correct answer to this question. Okay, it's enough time for me to reveal the correct answer to this question. Inhibin is secreted by. The correct answer to this question is option C, testes. Testes are the glands which secrete inhibin. Now, what is inhibin and how does testes do this? Whenever this is in line with the homeostasis machinery question, whenever there is stimulus which is testosterone levels get too low, hypothalamus, it signals the hypothalamus to release gonadotropin releasing hormone. Gonadotropin releasing hormone, or GnRH, stimulates the pituitary gland to produce follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone, which then accelerates testosterone production and inhibin production in the testes. So, testosterone and inhibin are two major hormones produced in the testes. Increased levels of inhibin B in the blood forms a negative feedback loop to the pituitary, telling it to stop the production of follicle stimulating hormone. And increased levels of testosterone in the blood forms a negative feedback loop similarly to that of inhibin to stop the production of luteinizing hormone at two steps, in the pituitary as well as in the hypothalamus. So this is the negative feedback loop which is in place for maintaining the homeostasis of testosterone levels from the testes. Inhibin, primarily inhibin B, is a protein produced by Sertoli cells. These are produced by the Sertoli cells in the testes that negatively regulates follicle stimulating hormone, playing a role in testicular function and spermatogenesis. So here is the level of testosterone, inhibin and AMH during different stages of human life. In infancy, inhibin B is at peak, testosterone is at peak, and as well as AMH. At childhood, inhibin and testosterone decrease in level while AMH is in high levels. Then at puberty, testosterone rises, inhibin rises from the testes, and AMH goes down, which is maintained in the adulthood. Inhibin B's proper function. Inhibin B is a dimer composed of an alpha subunit and a beta subunit. It is produced by Sertoli cells in the testes, which are crucial for sperm production. Inhibin B acts as a negative feedback regulator of follicle stimulating hormone secretion from the pituitary gland, meaning it reduces FSH levels. It also has paracrine effects in the nearby cells within the testes, meaning it can influence other cells within the testes. And what is its role in spermatogenesis? Inhibin B levels are positively correlated with Sertoli cell function, sperm number and spermatogenic status. Low inhibin levels are associated with impaired spermatogenesis and testicular dysfunction. Inhibin B may serve as a marker for spermatogenesis and testicular function. So inhibin B is an important hormone that is secreted by the Sertoli cells in the testes, which forms a negative feedback loop to stop the secretion of follicle stimulating hormone from the pituitary. I hope it is clear to the students. If yes, then let me know in the comment box and we will move on to the next question. Very good. Moving on to the 10th question of this session. Somatomedins are a group of dash. Somatomedins are a group of dashed. Option A, steroids. Option B, lipids. Option C, sphingolipids. And option D, proteins. Somatomedins. What kind of molecules are these? Are they steroids? Are they lipids? Are they sphingolipids or proteins? Let's wait for a minute for everyone to answer in the comment box, and then I will come back and give you the correct answer to this question. Okay, it's time for me to reveal the correct answer to this question. Somatomedins are a group of, and the correct answer to this question is option D, proteins. Somatomedins are small peptides or proteins. Somatomedins are a group of proteins produced predominantly by the liver when growth hormones act on target tissue. So understand this statement very carefully. Somatomedins are a group of proteins or peptides produced by the liver. It is not from pituitary or thyroid in response to growth hormones that are produced by the pituitary. Somatomedins inhibit the release of growth hormones by acting directly on the anterior pituitary and by stimulating the secretion of somatostatin from the hypothalamus. So again, this is an example of homeostasis machinery maintenance via a negative feedback loop to tell the body to stop the secretion of growth hormones once it is there in the optimal level. So in response to the growth hormones produced by the pituitary, somatomedins can directly inhibit the release of these growth hormones by acting directly on the anterior pituitary or by stimulating the secretion of somatostatin from the hypothalamus. Examples of somatomedins are IGF-1, also known as somatomedin C, and IGF-2, also known as somatomedin A, insulin-like growth factor. So here is a schema showing the function of somatomedins. The pituitary releases GH or growth hormone, in response to which liver secretes IGF-1, which is a somatomedin. IGF-1 acts on the brain for neural development, myelination and protection, amyloid beta clearance, anti-inflammatory properties. IGF-1 has heart and cardiovascular protective roles for cardiovascular development and protection. Vasodilator, it will dilate the blood vessels. Musculoskeletal development and growth, it is also important for ovarian folliculogenesis, testicular function, fetal growth and differentiation, and many other factors. But most importantly, IGF-1 also inhibits the growth hormone production via somatostatin or directly acting at the anterior pituitary level. So these are some of the common features of IGF-1 and 2, two of the somatomedins from the liver. Full name: insulin-like growth factor 1, insulin-like growth factor 2, also called somatomedin C, somatomedin A. What is the main site of production? Liver and other tissues for IGF-1, liver, placenta and fetal tissues for IGF-2. It is stimulated by the growth hormone production, the IGF-1 secretion, while the IGF-2 secretion is less dependent on growth hormone. Peak secretion of IGF-1 is during puberty, while peak secretion of IGF-2 is during the fetus development. And IGF-1 promotes postnatal growth like bone mass and the muscle mass, while IGF-2 promotes fetal growth. What is the mechanism of action for IGF-1 and 2? IGF-1 stimulates cell division, protein synthesis and bone elongation, while somatomedin aids in tissue differentiation and organ development. IGF-1 receptors similar to the insulin receptors, while IGF-2 receptor less active signaling of the insulin. It is a marker for growth hormone activity, IGF-1, low in dwarfism, high in gigantism and acromegaly, while IGF-2 is important in fetal growth regulation. So these are two well-known examples of the somatomedin family which are involved in the negative feedback inhibition of growth hormone from the anterior pituitary, but these proteins are small peptides produced by the liver. I hope it is clear to the students. If yes, then let's move on to the next question. Question number 11. Excess production of cortisol is related to which disorder? Let me read the question once again for you guys. Excess production of cortisol is related to which disorder? Option A, Gaucher's disease. Option B, Cushing's syndrome. Option C, Hunter syndrome. Option D, Niemann-Pick disease. This is also a memory-based question. What kind of disease is caused due to overproduction of cortisol? Which disorder? Let us not use Google for this, but rather our own brains. Let us take a minute, ponder over the question, and come up with the right answer. Please mention your right answer in the chat box, which I'll be following closely, and I'll reveal the correct answer in a minute or so. Okay, it's time up for this question and time for me to reveal the correct answer to this question. Excess production of cortisol is related to which disorder? The correct answer to this question is option B, Cushing's syndrome. This is the disorder which is caused due to excess production of cortisol. What is Cushing's syndrome? Cushing's syndrome is a hormonal disorder caused by prolonged exposure to high levels of cortisol, leading to various symptoms like weight gain, especially in the face and the upper body, as well as other metabolic and physical changes like CNS irritability, emotional disturbances, red and round face, excess cortisol from the adrenal glands, hypertension in the blood veins and the arteries, cardiac hypertrophy, hyperplasia, tumor in the adrenal glands, purple striae, obesity, fat deposition on abdomen and back of the neck, osteoporosis, weakening of the bones, muscle wasting, and skin ulcers. In females, amenorrhea, hirsutism, and in males, erectile dysfunction. It's a very devastating syndrome. Cushing syndrome. What are the causes of Cushing syndrome? Many types of causes. Exogenous, most common. Long term use of corticosteroid medications like predis- prednisone. Endogenous, body makes too much cortisol due to Cushing's disease. Pituitary tumor, excess adrenocorticotropin releasing hormone, which is leading to more cortisol. Adrenal tumor, tumor in the adrenal gland, excess cortisol. Or ectopic ACTH, ACTH producing tumor in the lungs or somewhere else in the body. Corticotropin releasing hormone to the pituitary gland from the hypothalamus leads to production of ACTH or adrenocorticotropic hormone releasing hormone, which signals the adrenal glands to make cortisol. Excessive of the cortisol leads to changes in mood, headaches and tiredness, reddish stretch marks, high blood pressure, abdominal obesity but with thin arms and legs, acne, round red face and weak muscles and bones. So these are the overall symptoms of the Cushing syndrome, which is caused due to excessive cortisol production from the body. Is it clear to the students? If yes, then let's quickly move on to the 12th question of this session. The target organ of antidiuretic hormone ADH is dashed. Which is the major target organ of antidiuretic hormone ADH? Option A, spleen. Option B, pancreas. Option C, liver. Option D, kidney. Which of these is the target organ for antidiuretic hormone? Spleen, pancreas, liver or kidney? Come on guys, we have discussed about vasopressin and ADH at length. So this might be an easy answer for you guys. Let us wait for a minute and quickly take a look at the chat box for answers. And I will reveal the correct answer in a minute or so. Okay, it's time for me to reveal the correct answer to this question. The target organ of antidiuretic hormone ADH is none other than kidneys. Option D, kidney, is the right answer to this question. The primary target organ of antidiuretic hormone, also known as vasopressin, is the kidney, specifically the distal convoluted tubule and collecting ducts where it promotes water reabsorption. If you remember correctly, vasopressin maintains the water and blood pressure balance in the body. It expression of vasopressin causes water retention in the kidneys. So it specifically targets the distal convoluted tubule in a nephron and collecting ducts. ADH's function: ADH acts on the kidney to increase the permeability of the distal convoluted tubule and collecting duct cells to water, allowing more water to be reabsorbed back into the bloodstream. ADH binds to V2 receptors in the cells of the distal tubule and collecting ducts, triggering the insertion of aquaporin 2 channels into the cell membranes. Aquaporins are water channels that facilitate movement of water across cell membranes. Increased water reabsorption. By increasing the number of aquaporins, ADH allows more water to be reabsorbed from the urine back into the bloodstream, leading to reduction in urine volume and more concentrated urine. At high concentration, ADH can also act on blood vessels to increase peripheral vascular resistance, thereby increasing blood pressure. So this is a schematic of all the events happening when the body wants to retain water, and this by the secretion of ADH. High blood osmotic pressure stimulates hypothalamic osmoreceptors. Osmoreceptors activate the neurosecretory cells that synthesize and release ADH, antidiuretic hormone. Nerve impulses liberate ADH from the axon terminals in the posterior pituitary into the bloodstream. Kidneys retain more water with decreases urine output. Now the blood osmotic pressure restores back to the lower levels. Low blood osmotic pressure inhibits hypothalamus osmoreceptors. Inhibition of osmoreceptors reduces or stops ADH secretion, thereby target tissues like pseudophilus sweat glands decrease water loss by perspiration from the skin. Arterioles constricts, which increases the blood pressure. So the major target organ of the antidiuretic hormone is the kidney. I hope it is clear to the students. If so, then let's have a look at the 13th question. Which hormone prevents excess loss of sodium and potassium from kidneys? Which hormone prevents excess loss of sodium and potassium from the kidneys? Option A, aldosterone. Option B, cortisol. Option C, epinephrine. Option D, norepinephrine. Again, hormones related to the kidney and loss of ions now. Which of these hormones play in regulating the loss of ions like sodium and potassium in the kidney? Is it aldosterone, cortisol, epinephrine, or norepinephrine? Let us take a minute and come back to this question for the correct answer. Okay, it's time for me to reveal the correct answer to this question. Which hormone prevents excess loss of sodium and potassium from kidneys? Correct answer is option A, aldosterone. Aldosterone is the hormone that is involved in retaining sodium and potassium in the kidneys. So this is a whole schematic for the function of sodium and potassium and how aldosterone comes into picture. This is a whole system called the renin-angiotensin system. Decrease in renal perfusion juxtaglomerular apparatus leads to secretion of renin from the kidney. Angiotensin in the liver is converted by the action of renin to angiotensin 1. Surface of pulmonary and renal endothelium, angiotensin converting enzyme or the ACE. Angiotensin 1 converts to angiotensin 2. Angiotensin 2 is now involved in all the activities like sympathetic activity, tubular sodium chloride reabsorption and potassium excretion, H2O retention. It also stimulates the adrenal cortex to produce aldosterone, which further leads to sodium retention, tubular reabsorption of the sodium, and excretion of the potassium. Arteriole vasoconstriction of the arteriole to increase the blood pressure from the angiotensin 2, and also stimulates pituitary gland posterior lobe to produce ADH for more water retention and increase in blood pressure. Water and salt retention, effective circulating volume increase, perfusion of the juxtaglomerular apparatus increases, which is a signal which inhibits the production of renin from the kidney, stopping this whole cycle of aldosterone production. Aldosterone is a steroid hormone produced by the adrenal glands, which plays a crucial role in regulating salt and water balance in the kidneys, influencing blood pressure and electrolyte levels. It promotes sodium reabsorption and potassium excretion, ultimately affecting blood volume and blood pressure. Sodium reabsorption. Aldosterone acts on distal convoluted tubule and collecting duct of the nephron, the functional unit of the kidney, to increase sodium reabsorption back into the bloodstream. Simultaneously, aldosterone promotes excretion of potassium into the urine. By increasing sodium reabsorption, aldosterone also leads to water retention due to osmolarity, as water follows sodium. The increased volume of the blood and sodium levels resulting from aldosterone's action contribute to maintaining the blood pressure. Aldosterone exerts its effects by binding to mineralocorticoid receptors or MRs located in the kidney cells, particularly in the distal nephron. Epithelial sodium channels. Aldosterone increases the activity of epithelial sodium channels, ENaCs, in the collecting duct, enhancing sodium entry into the cells. I hope it is clear to the students. Moving on to the 14th question. In a biological system, the preservation of a steady internal environment independent of external variables is called dashed. Reading the question again. In a biological system, the preservation of steady internal environment independent of external variables is called dashed. Option A, homeostasis. Option B, control center. Option C, systemic imbalance. Option D, stimuli. Let's opt in for a quick answer. The correct answer to this question is option A, homeostasis. It's an easy answer. We just discussed homeostasis in detail in the previous question. Here is an example of water retention again, for best example for studying homeostasis. Homeostasis is the body's ability to maintain a stable internal environment despite external changes. When there is too little water, hypothalamus detects the water level, pituitary gland releases ADH or antidiuretic hormone. More water is reabsorbed by the kidneys, less water lost in the urine, which returns the blood water level to normal. Homeostasis and steady state are related concepts in biology, where homeostasis refers to the overall maintenance of a stable internal environment, while steady state describes the dynamic equilibrium of specific mechanisms within that environment. And the final question of this session: a monotelic type of excretion happens in which of these organisms? A monotelic type of excretion happens in which type of organisms? Option A, frog. Option B, amoeba. Option C, human. Option D, scorpion. Which of these organisms show an amonotelic type of excretion? Okay, it's time for the last answer of this session. A monotelic type of excretion happens in option B, amoeba. Now, what is ammonotelism? Ammonotelic excretion or ammonotelism is the process where organisms excrete nitrogenous waste in the form of ammonia, which is highly water soluble and toxic, requiring large amount of water for its elimination, and is common in aquatic animals. Why is it common in aquatic animals? Because aquatic animals have access to ample water to dilute and eliminate ammonia. Ammonia, on the other hand, is readily soluble in water, making it easier for aquatic organisms to excrete. So, this is a schematic showing nutrition in amoeba. The cell moves towards the food particle or the bacteria. Cell engulfs the food using its pseudopodia. Food vacuole forms and digestion occurs. Nutrients absorbed by the amoeba and waste expelled from the cell, which is mostly ammonia. So this is a table comparing all different types of excretion commonly found in animals: ammonotelic versus ureotelic versus uricotelic. The major difference is ammonotelic organisms are organisms that excrete ammonia, as per the name. Ureotelic excrete urea, and uricotelic excrete uric acid. This is the type of nitrogenous waste they excrete. Toxicity: ammonotelic organisms are highly toxic, ureotelic less toxic waste, uricotelic least toxic waste. And examples of organisms: most aquatic organisms excrete ammonotelic waste. Organisms such as mammals, amphibians, and shark excrete urea. Reptiles, birds, and insects excrete uric acid. Number of nitrogen atoms eliminated from one molecule: 1, 2, and 4 respectively. And water requirement: high water requirement for ammonotelic. 0.5 liters of water is needed per gram of ammonia, while in ureotelic only 50 ml of water for 1 gram of urea, and only 10 grams of water for 1 gram of uric acid. I hope this helps in understanding the ammonotelism in organisms, and the correct answer is amoeba, which is an aquatic organism. Is it clear to the students? Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for joining. With this marks the end of the practice problem session. with this, we have come to an end of the practice problem session for week 11, where we have covered topics from the endocrine system and the excretory system. We have dealt with 15 such questions, understood the concepts, and I hope it is clear to everyone for the students. If you have any suggestions, please feel to write to me, post your comments in the chat box, and attend these live classes or watch these recorded videos for more information. So these recordings will be uploaded in the YouTube and available to you uh, via the NPTEL authorities, and the slides will be shared to you through the Google Drive. Till then, let's meet in the next class for the last session for week 12, where we'll discuss the final chapter of this course, Basics in Biology. And after that, I'm also opted for an extra class if you have any doubts, and we will solve some special questions related to every aspect of the whole course here. With that, let me end this call. It's already 5 p.m. and thank you for joining this class. Thank you.